It's a adaptation of a 250-year-old German tragedy that we have turned into a contemporary romance. A young guy and a young girl fall in love. She's engaged to an older man, but instead of it being this awkward, terrible thing, it's this awkward, wonderful thing. I read the book in university, and it resonated with me. And then I didn't even really at the time know that people directed movies or made movies. I thought companies made movies. I was like, oh, Sony's got another movie. But about 10 years later, when I'd become interested in filmmaking and then sold a few scripts, I was just looking for that next thing to write. And, Sorrows of Young Werther caught my eye on my bookshelf, and I pulled it down, reread it, and I was like, why has there not been a major English language adaptation of this novel? Like, it's been adapted so many times in Europe. It's in other languages. There's operas, there's plays, there's mangas. There's so many different ways that the book's been adapted, and it just seemed, I don't know, there's something magical, timeless, and true about the characters at the heart of it. And yeah, it was just something to, just grab me. I thought, let's go do this.
So who came on board first?
It was me, and I read the script, and it just zinged. It was the dialogue is so brilliantly written. It's so witty. It's fast paced. And you had a very clear vision for it. And I also thought it was a character that I hadn't played before, and something that I could really get my teeth into. And then we were lucky enough to get someone as talented as Alison to play opposite. And why did you?
I really thought just now you were going to say, and we were so lucky to get someone as talented as me.
That too.
I met Jose 20 years ago here in Toronto, the summer after I graduated from high school, when one of his best friends, Henry, was the director's assistant on a film. And so there was this epic Toronto, my first kind of semi-grown up, wow, I'm finished high school, running around Toronto having this really magical summer with him and some of his friends and bandmates, and I had never been cool in high school. And suddenly I met this crew of people, and I was like, man, nerds are cool. Here in the outside world, this is going to be good. And so I had held in my heart this great love for Jose, and then I got sent this script and didn't look who it was written by or involving. I just opened up the PDF of the script and started reading and finished it in one sitting, just couldn't stop reading it. The dialogue was so good, so clever, and it's so hard to make witty repartee sing on the page. And those are always my favorite romantic comedies, when it is sort of witty and full of banter and something that you can imagine saying if you were having your best day after a really good cup of coffee. And it's not every time, but it was a whole movie full of dialogue like that. And then I turned back to the email itself and went, holy shit, it's Jose! It was him.
It was me.
We had a lot of discussions about certain details, about the ages of the children. Yeah,
and that was all fine. And that was totally fine. We didn't worry about the ages of the children. It was not a concern at all. I think Alison would agree that the age thing, totally perfect. I'm trying to think what we changed, really. I think for the most part, the script was the script, but what changed for me was just the way Doug and Alison and our brilliant cast interpreted the characters and brought the lines to life. And if there were ever issues with story or issues with a sequence of lines or something, we'd sit down and figure it out and talk about it. And it felt like a very easy collaborative thing.
Did anything surprise you? I'm not doing the
During
interview.
Sorry. Well, Douglas. I was.
Tell me, what surprised you about my performance, Jose?
How lucky were you to have us?
So lucky, constantly surprised in the best ways. You know what I was surprised by? I was surprised by how fun it was. Everyone, before we started filming, they were like, oh, get ready. It's going to be overwhelming. Those days are going to be long, and people are going to get into fights, and it's going to be awful. And that just was not the case. I don't know. I mean, you tell me, but I feel like it was a just exceptional experience across the board.
It felt like a really magical shoot. It is so rare that you get to feel that kind of magic of everybody really trying their best, from our wonderful design team to all of our crew, to making things work on a budget, but that felt luxurious, somehow managed to feel luxurious in terms of indie filmmaking. And then you brought everyone together in this way with a very clear vision from this person who'd been thinking about it for so long. And it felt like all of us really brought everything we could. And I will say it was tiring for you because you fell asleep at the birthday party that my daughter and I crashed in the park, where suddenly we looked over and Jose is just in the lawn like... So don't tell me it wasn't slightly overwhelming and tiring to direct your first feature.
I was very tired a lot of the time, and it's true. We'd been invited to a birthday party in the park, and Alison's daughter Wilder was here, and Alison's daughter and my daughter were fast friends, and yeah, I did pass out on the ground in the park. And my wife was nudging me. She was like, "Jose, you cannot sleep on the ground at the park." But I was like, "There's a blanket nearby. It's like a picnic."
Well, yeah, we rehearsed and we spent time. And when if you see the movie, the dialogue is quite complex at times. And we discussed that we wanted it to come out effortlessly and very quickly and feel easy and breezy. And that was that was something that more than usual. I really went to work on really just repetition, learning the lines, because some of them, they're like delightful tongue twisters, and that's the delight of them. But I wanted them to come out effortlessly and easily, so I could get to set and completely forget all the hard work I've done and be as completely present and natural as possible. But we spent a good couple of weeks, 2 weeks I think we had in Toronto together, which is quite luxurious on a movie, to really go out and sit in the park and run it. And go for dinners, and we really
do waltzing lessons.
We did waltzing lessons. We waltzed.
Yes, there's nothing like starting a romantic comedy, learning to waltz, where neither of us had waltzed.
Yeah, you were better than me, but we got there in the end. Trying to waltz and say his lines as well at the same time is not the easiest thing. So much of it was already there. He'd written such a tight script that the work had kind of been done for us. But you were incredible. You gave us a lot of license as well. There was times we were like, let's just. There's moments of improvisation, I think. I don't know whether it was sort of hard dialogue or you gave us a long leash. And I think when you see the film, like for me, my character, he's quite out there. I had to be prepared to fail and look stupid at times. And I think if I felt too tight on that leash, I wouldn't have been able to, go balls to the wall.
I have a background in theater, so I do consider the script to be an unchangeable Bible once set. But I was so grateful to have a collaborator in that. And I'm also very specific in terms of there are reasons that lines work. There are reasons that have to do with consonants, with syllables, and so I like getting down to that nitty-gritty level of like being able to talk to someone about the somewhat OCD nature of certain lines working or not. And you were heartbroken at times when I found things funny that weren't funny to anyone else in the room.
That is true. My heart broke again and again.
I know. I broke your heart. But in the end, I put it back together.
You sure did. And there were times, too, where, there would be, we'd be tight on time or something, and someone would say, like, oh, what if we just cut that line or whatever? And I'd be like, yeah. And Alison would be like, no, and here's why. And I'm looking out for the writer on this one.
That is true. I do look out for the writer often on set because I do think they're very important and often don't get sung as heroes as often as they should. Because if the writing is good, everything else can follow. And if it's not, you'll be really fighting for your life at every turn.
Yeah, my grandest wish is that it's the kind of movie that you want to watch with your friends, with your partner, parents, children. Like I really do think like my favorite movies are ones that endure the way the book has endured for 250 years. I want this movie to endure for 250 years. That's the goal.
I watched it yesterday again on the flight over just to give me a refresh before I did all these interviews, and I just leave it feeling happy. It's full of so much love. We put so much love into it. I think our chemistry really comes across, be it with.
My name's Alison. My name's Alison.
Yeah, be it with Alison.
Have you met
or
Alison? This is done.
I was deciding to say Alison or my co-star or my director or the filmmaker, because we had a real close bond, and I felt held by you, and I really felt that we always use the word threading the needle. We thread the needle through the scenes, because so many times my character could either come across as annoying, or it was a tightrope, and we thread the needle in each scene, and I felt it was a dance between me and you, being in front of the camera to the monitor, just figuring it out. It was we were having a lot of fun playing. So I hope people just have a sense of joy, and their heart feels a bit bigger when they get to the end of it. And yeah,
I hope they want to fall in love again, because truly, this movie it really does make the possibility of love seem so wonderful and optimistic, and that the heartbreak is always worth it, and just the openness to that kind of love is a really beautiful thing that I think we should all sort of go about our day with more often.